Hey guys, this is Ashley and Rest, and we are back for another season of She Wolf Alchemy.
Yes, and today we are talking about how much of a sign do you need? And so this conversation came about because well, really, there was a video I saw on TikTok. And I think I sent it to you, but I apparently you still got like 200 unread,
I got up
unseen
to like
videos.
October. I got up to like October.
Videos. And I just keep sending, and I try so hard. I do want you to know, like, I send you 1/5 of the amount of videos I want to send you.
Okay, I
That
appreciate
is
knowing.
that's me restraining myself. But it was a video I sent you, and then I think I had asked you about it. And you're like, "What?" I'm like, "I sent it to you," and you were like, "Russ, I am still working through all the videos. I'm not at the same place as you yet." But essentially, it was his videos of these guys, and one of the guys had asked them like, "How many owls do you need to see in a day for you to be like, yo, this is a sign?" And I immediately went to immediately because for me, I don't see owls where I live. If I see one owl, I'm kind of like, why are
Mhm.
there owls here? That's interesting. Y'all getting voice messages about it. This actually real life happened last year where there was an owl near my window and it stayed there. It was like morning and I could still hear it. And I was like,
Hmm.
is there an owl? And I sent like Gabby and Nick messages like, there's an owl. Can y'all hear it in the background? Is this a sign? And Nick told me to rest and just not everything was a sign. Uh, that's how that conversation went.
Mhm.
But for me, immediately my answer was like two. And then there's a guy that's like on this video, and he too was like, yeah, like two. Like, no, I don't see owls. And then
Mhm.
they asked one of the other guys, and he was like 16. And I think everybody in the comments also was just like, bro, after the eighth owl, you still like, yeah, it's just a very owly day. What about your business? Like,
Like, where do
how
you
do
be
we
at?
get, yeah, how do we get
Mm.
to 16? So, just with that general question, you know my answer. My answer is two. How many hours do you got to see in one day for you to be like, this is odd, something is happening?
I think I have to agree with two because seeing one would be strange enough. So if I saw another, it would be like noticeable and it'd be like, oh, okay, so what's going on? Like,
Look, look, I don't live in the mountains. Like, I
right.
live in a forest.
Yeah. But what are our owls supposed to symbolize something? Like what would the
So they didn't get into it on that.
uh,
But yeah, it depends on what background you come from. But usually like wisdom or also like I know in for like Egyptian myths,
mhm.
there's owl god, there's a whole bunch of owl related things, and they like travel with you to land of the dead. That is not what they call it.
To the land of the dead, like the underworld? The afterlife.
The afterlife, I think. But owls are supposed to symbolize change, transformation, and good luck.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like a bad sign?
No.
I mean, okay. But but you know what? That also makes me think about how often we don't think about good signs. We're always like, is this a sign that something bad and ominous is going to happen? Like how often do you think you're seeing a sign and feel like it's telling you that something good is going to happen?
All the time, and it's my problem. It is like my
Oh,
worst trait. It's
it's just
like
like,
my worst trait. I have banned myself from angel numbers. Like I am
okay,
to the
okay,
point
I got
that
you.
now when I see 11111 or 222 or 123, I'm just like nothing's happening. Nothing's happening, Russ. Okay, this is just life. I don't know why these numbers are hunting you. There's nothing special happening.
I
Oh
got you.
yes, I have the opposite issue. But so apparently, so are you usually thinking bad stuff?
I mean, probably. I mean, not all the time, but yeah. I think if I'd be like, oh, there's a warning, like, what does this mean? Like, I would probably think of things more as a warning than to think of it as, because I mean, if it's I guess if good stuff is happening, I'm not really looking for signs. Maybe that the
Okay,
only time the
fair.
only time I'm looking for signs is when I'm like lost and confused in life and I'm like, I don't know what direction, universe, give me something.
But see, okay, and I feel like I don't look for signs. I just happen to look up and be like, oh, that's not always true. Usually I don't look for signs, but I did try this trick. where it was like, play, you know, ask the universe for signs and really focus and concentrate on what you want to see if the universe delivers the answers to you. And I had two signs that I work with. One was a song. It was a song I haven't really like, it was a popular song when it came out. I'm not gonna say the song, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
popular song when it came out. But this song is like over a decade old now.
Mm-hmm.
Did not have the song on my playlist either. And then the other one was I wanted to see a bluebird. No, and I didn't even say a bluebird. I said, give me a sign with a bluebird. Give me a
Mm-hmm.
sign with a very bluebird. And the song came on, and I had certain things like, okay, if I hear
Mm-hmm.
the song, this means this particular thing is on the way. And then if I see the bluebird, it means this particular situation is getting worked out, it's going to be handled, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. The song, like that week, heard the song. And at the time, I didn't recognize it. I was just like, I was singing, I was like shopping, I was in like Marshalls, and I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, oh, a song. Mm. This is the last time I heard this song. I'm in a Marshalls. They supposed to be playing Taylor Swift. Like I was like, hype. The Bluebird situation did not happen for months. Actually, it
Mm-hmm.
actually just happened like maybe a month ago. And I did this back in like May, June. But I kept thinking I would see a bluebird, and I was like really sad because I wanted the bluebird thing more than anything. And I
Mm-hmm.
was really sad. And then in like a 1 week period, it went from randomly my daughter came up to me and was just like, Mommy, how come we never see bluebirds? And I was just like, I don't know. And then she just kept talking to me about bluebirds. And I was just like, and then I remembered like maybe a day later, like, oh yeah, I did say I wanted a symbolism with bluebirds. And I was looking, I was like, but no, I was thinking more visual. I mean, I didn't say visual, but I was talking more visual, left it alone. And then I had a girlfriend who sent me a picture of a blue bird, and it just said like have a good day, and it was a blue bird, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
in a winter background. And that was like 2 days later, and I was like, okay, but that's a picture of a blue
Mm-hmm.
bird. It's not like I'm seeing one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had went to the store with a girlfriend of mine. She wanted to get a dress for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was helping her pick out the dress, and she picked out this dress. And she's like, what about this? She's like, tell me this is one, this is one. And it was a dress that had bluebirds as the pattern. And
Okay.
again, did not clock it. It wasn't until way later that I was just like, well, should I count that first bluebird? What about when my daughter said this? And then I had to sit back and like, you done had several instances with bluebirds this whole entire week.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
now, is the situation being worked out? I don't know. I feel like I keep getting mixed signals of if that situation's being worked out. Don't really know. But got my bluebirds.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely the challenge with it because I feel like you can convince yourself of anything if you really
That
want. Like when you were saying that, it was making me think of a TikTok I saw of this girl that was like, she had said, you know, hey, if this man ain't for me, show me a pink car or something like that. And she pulled up at work, and there's very clearly like a pink car. She was on TikTok like, y'all, is that pink? Maybe that's kind of like a fuchsia. Everybody was in the comments like, girl,
you know,
that car is pink. So I don't know. I feel like I've tried to test things in that way. Like I remember asking to see like a yellow car or something, and I wasn't seeing it, and it wasn't confirming what I wanted the universe to tell me. And so,
no, but that's a sign.
and then, well, I don't even remember what I was asking for, but heck, I guess I'm glad I didn't get it because
Talk about the universe didn't confirm it. Well, we didn't get it. So
that's why that's why we want it. If this is for me, show me this. Well, it didn't show me. But obviously, I'm gonna still do what I want to do. That's my problem. hmm I know I've told this story on here before of definitely the one time when I was with someone and was like, if this man is for me, blah, 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 blah. And I got hit with a freaking door. Well, he slammed a door. We got into it. Wait, really, he got into an argument with his damn self. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go. And then he took the door and whoop and slammed it. And that mug hit me before I made my way all the way out the door. And I was just like, let me leave this fool alone before I get struck by lightning while I'm up here keep asking for signs.
let me tell you one thing I have learned for sure is do not ask the universe about no man. Did I? Unless you are ready to be single.
Is you ready to let that man go for real
Unless
when
you
they
are,
tell you to? Cause yeah,
ma'am,
play them games, and I was like, it felt like they just kept getting bigger and
but
bigger. And when that door hit me, I was like, wow. It's like, he came running out all bad. I was like, nah, nah, I'ma leave.
you know what? See, luckily past me was good at just self-sabotaging on my own. Because I'm like, oh, I'm falling in love. I'm about to go through this man's phone because you know what? We don't need this. We don't need this right now. Let me check through his phone real quick. But yeah, no, I've seen many of friends that ask the universe, that ask God, and the way, the speed in which God in the universe
Mhm.
answers those prayers before when can I be a millionaire? Like
Mhm.
you'll be sitting there like, if this is for me, give me a sign to keep pushing in the universe. Take months. You'd be like, is this the right man for me? In the universe be like his phone open. It's just right next to you. But who is this naked woman in his phone?
Mhm.
She got his name tatted on her stomach. You should investigate.
Mhm.
You should investigate.
Not his name.
The signs be so bold. The signs
Mhm.
be so bold. So
Mhm.
let me ask. So do you recommend asking for signs, or are you one of those people who is just like, no, let signs fall into your lap?
I don't even know because it's just because does it matter as much? Like whatever, because I think at this point in life, I'm of the whatever is gonna be. So
Mhm.
we can ask and we can beg, we can do all this stuff to try to get signs, and like whatever's gonna happen is still gonna happen.
Mhm. This is true.
So it's just more like that, like I gotta know. I need like I want to know now. I need to that's another one of them, like I need to that's like a form of control, trying to control the situation still.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. But here's the thing. I think sometimes you do need encouragement. Sometimes
I can agree
life
with
got
that.
hands.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
hands. And sometimes you just need to take a time out, have a coach in your ear that's like, if you could just make it at
Mhm.
least two more rounds, it's a tie. You don't even
And
just don't get knocked out and it's a tie.
I think about I know I had a client I was working with who really wanted something bad. Like,
Mhm.
was doing therapy with her and she wanted something so bad. And she kept, I asked for a rainbow and there was a rainbow clip on this and there was I asked for a this. I mean, she was asking for signs and she was getting them, but she was not getting that thing she wanted though.
Yeah.
But I mean, oh, it rained, and there was I mean, she was finding them symbols and signs here, there, and everywhere. And that was just so, I don't know. It was just something about working with her that just was like, you're wearing yourself out, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I would hate to think that your higher power is just toying with you. I don't think that's what's going on, but like, are you just seeing what you want? Because I do think we can see what we want to see. I mean, also if you're someone who believes in things like the law of attraction and stuff like that,
Mhm.
there's people who, yeah, if you focus on something enough, will you
Yeah.
not see those things? I think if you want to see a yellow car, you'll start noticing more yellow cars. Does that mean that they're all being sent your way? Or like, I
Did you
mean,
see it? Did you see a yellow car?
I really can't remember what I was asking for and which way.
No,
I'm
but I
just
get what you're
saying.
saying. You can, if you want it bad enough, you can force yourself to look harder, to pay closer attention to whatever, whatever, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's definitely a thing. I definitely think that's the thing with like angel numbers, where I'm just like, yeah, chill, because there's lots of like, um, well, for example, like a lot of numbers like 11111, 2222. Businesses like that because it's easy to remember their numbers. So they're always on billboards, like stuff like that, where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
am I? And it's just like, this is just good marketing for them.
Mm-hmm.
How you think this is going to be the lawyer that gets you your divorce settlement because he just has two 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 two
Mm-hmm.
as his number. So I definitely think that is a thing, and I think you definitely have to be careful with that. But I think sometimes it can be good. But you're reminding me, I did have a client one time who also really wanted something, and they went to a psychic, and the
Mm-hmm.
psychic told them like, yes, this is going to happen. This is going to happen to you in your 60s. They were in their 20s.
Mm. Mm. That's not
And
what you want.
then just the kind of the like, I don't even know if I want it if I have to wait that long. Like just that whole moment of like, and how much do we really want to know? Because there's certain things that I want now that if the universe was like, yes, then your 60s, I'm like, I give up on it. I don't, I don't I'm 32. I don't want to do another 28 years of
Mhm.
grind on this thing. I don't want it.
Mhm.
I got ADHD. I'm a Gemini. I'm just doing something that long does not sound interesting to me.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that. But I do think it's nice when you have like little gems that just fall in your lap. You're not necessarily looking for it. You're not looking for a sign, but one just appears before you and you kind of can't ignore it.
Mhm.
Because I do think while the way I think a lot of us want signs to work is this sign happens, there's this rainbow over my house. It doesn't go to
Mhm.
anybody else's house, it's just on my house.
Mhm.
And then the next day we get the call, we get the job. And yay,
That is what we
didn't
want.
give up. And I don't think that's how it is. I don't think signs are saying, hey, it's going to happen next week, next month. It's just like, hey, this is a keep going.
Mhm.
And then have to still let go of control of what that looks like.
Mhm.
I had a sign of something like maybe a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
And I had it's a part of a string theory of signs that kept coming. But a couple weeks ago, there was something I was watching, and it had a wolf in it.
Mhm.
And this creator does not use wolves at all in their stuff. It was just random. And I was working on our new logo, and I was like putting together these wolves, and they said this picture that looked like our logo, and I was like, oh damn, that's interesting. And
Mhm.
I kind of just left it at that. And then the person kept posting little things with wolves to do with it. They had a video that had some wolf stuff in it. They posted this picture that had some wolf stuff in it. And I was like, okay, that's also interesting. Well, then I had got an email from somebody that's somewhat affiliated with this person. There's no reason in the world I should be in contact with anybody even remotely affiliated with this person. And I just kind of took that as a sign. I just took that as a sign, like, you know what? Give this another go. Keep pushing, and we'll
Mhm.
see what happens. Now, will that actually lead to something? I don't know. But for me, it was one of those things where it's like I was not looking for that.
Mhm.
But I kept feeling like, no, this is a thing after thing after thing after thing. And at what point is it a coincidence? And at what point are you like, okay, this is weird?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. I think those types of instances are a little bit easier to believe when they happen.
Yes. But it's easy to talk yourself out of those too.
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, you won't know for sure until the thing either happens or it doesn't. And then it's like, "Oh yeah, I did ask for that thing and then I saw that thing. And look at me now."
Have a
But
whole sit on somebody's podcast. Like,
like
so before I met my billionaire husband.
but yeah, no, I but mm, mhm, 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 mhm,
But on the flip side of that, like, and I use this all the time, and maybe I shouldn't, but I use this all the time where I'm like, but there's a thin line between like really believing and being 1013. Like, there's a thin line. And I'm very conscious of that. And I'm always just like, okay, make sure we're not crossing that line because there are, and you know this as well. There's sometimes you have talked to folks where you're like, hey, your belief is going to dangerous territory. Let's
Mhm,
reel this in.
mhm,
And while I joke, I know I've not gone to that level, but that's a real thing. And it's sometimes scary, I think, especially when I'm like looking at people, especially online. I get really weary when I see like trends.
mhm,
Um, there was a trend called it was like some beat. It was some beat that people used, and it was a song about like blessings and good things happening, coming. And it was a trend for a while where people were like posting it and like, yes, I'm gonna post this back when I get that money, when I get that job, when I get that girl, whatever, whatever. And then I saw one where it was a person who like showed the first clip was like, I guess when they first posted the video with the trending song, and it
mhm.
had been some months later, and it was just them crying. And they're like, and I still didn't have it and I still didn't get it. And I believe it all my heart for all this time.
Mhm.
And it's like that, what happens when a dream is deferred?
It usually means there's something else. I mean, and then they were also talking about what it's like when you hold on to something so tight. Like you want it the way that you want it. And
Mhm.
we know through lived experience that that's just not how things turn out. And some of the greatest things happen when you are just not really expecting it. It's when you are focused on something entirely different. It's just like, wow, how did I end up here? I wasn't trying to do this. I thought I
Mhm.
was trying to do something else. And like, we both shared about like just our things of like getting into our particular fields in school and all these other, being in certain spaces where it was like that was really not what I was trying to do initially.
Man, look,
I got deferred in one way, the way the most direct route, the one I thought I was gonna get, and then I ended up over here in some other way, but doing it this way allowed me to learn this, achieve that, meet these people, all these other things that are like, okay, well, I guess at the end,
yeah.
it's all good.
But I think it's hard to do that when you don't have examples of that in your actual life.
Oh yeah, that's why I said lived experience has to teach
Mm.
you that. And I really believe that. And I think that's why I've been able to get more to a point of like a feeling more comfortable not knowing too many things because I've had enough experience to know that like even when I don't know everything or I don't plan everything out to the T, that like it usually balances out as better than I thought it was going to be, or at least good or in the right way in some kind of way. Like I don't I mean, and that's just my life. I mean, I haven't fallen any humongous disaster or anything, to be real. Like it just hasn't happened. Not to say it can't. Knock on wood.
Let's do that.
I'll be realistic about it, but also, yeah, it's just kind of like even with money, like I mean, yeah, it's there's been times it's been hard, there's been times it's been sad, there's been times, but like things tend to work out by the end of the month. It's all right, or it'll be all right that next month. I don't know. It's just kind of like, and once I really grasped that more of like, there are lots of things I have stressed and worried and begged and done all this stuff over. And at the end of the day, it still be all right. And even when I skip all that worrying and stress, it actually still be all right.
Yeah. I think when it comes to more like material type things, I have that type of mindset. And I don't even know if I am in that's all right as much as I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's like I there's just certain things I stopped caring about. But I think more so when it comes to things on an emotional level, I don't know. I feel like because when you're talking about we both have experiences, but I'm like, honestly, a lot of times in my experience, sometimes I feel like things are okay. I don't know if I ever got to the place where it was like, yes, had like this is exactly what I wanted, this is exactly what I needed. I've got it to. Well, I mean, and it's okay.
Hmm.
And after a while, I think you get tired of that.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
doesn't feel like enough to keep holding on for, um or even like this is a reoccurring theme in my life that I kind of struggle with, where I feel like a reoccurring theme in my life is things and situations happen to me, and it's able to be used for very transformative, powerful moments for other people.
Mm, mhm,
And at some point, I'm like, okay, and when is this going to be for me? Because it's
mhm,
great to be a transformative force in other people's lives, but at some point, that transformation needs to also feel as good and beneficial for me, or I need to have a certain amount of peace, so even as I'm doing these things that's transformative for others, it doesn't feel like a tornado for me the entire time this process is happening.
mhm,
Tornado
mhm,
or stalemate, because also there's those times where it doesn't feel like a tornado, but it feels like I'm on pause while being able to help so many other people, and that's great, all these other people are getting help,
mhm,
but now what about the helper?
mhm. And when's it my turn? When do I get?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I can understand that feeling. Yeah.
And I think that is like going back to that, there is it, what happens when you don't have those examples. Because a lot of times when we do that kind of talking to people, trying to encourage people, like, no, it's going to be okay because wasn't it okay when this time happened and wasn't okay? What do you say when it's like, nah, it never got past okay though. So now what?
Okay.
Uh, yeah, it was always just okay. I'm done with okay. So now what? Now what we're using for encouragement. And I don't got the answer for that.
Hmm. I don't either. I don't know. I don't know why stuff balances out. I mean, because I don't know why stuff be like that sometimes, where it's just kind of lackluster, and it's just like, I don't know. Mm.
Okay, no answer for that.
I mean, it's hard to encourage someone who is in that space. I mean, because it's like, yeah, that's because what do you say? You just got to keep going to where, for what reason? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had that type of frustration of just like, what's the point, or whatever the case may be. But again, I don't know. It helped me to look back and be like, you know what, stuff really be all right though. So ain't nothing really. So I'm okay with stuff being all right. I don't know.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I mean, all I got right now is push forward. That's all I got right now is push forward. It's what I use for myself, kind of push forward and then have belief and hope that there's other things on the other side. And um, kind of going back to something that we used before, kind of like that if my things, my struggles, my situation can be so helpful, beneficial for others, there has to be something, it has to spin the block for you, me at some point.
Mhm.
And hold on to hope for that. But I don't know if that's enough for everybody. I don't know if I don't know where we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think about people who life really be kicking their ass, and then somebody comes along and it's like, well, God reserves His biggest struggles for His strongest words, and you be like, man, I don't give a damn about that. Like,
Let me tell you, let me tell you, if a
mhm,
person is not a part of whatever faith it is that you about to go to, one of the worst things for me, in my experience, to do when they're in that moment of pit is to be like, oh God, because let me, and I try my hardest to be very respectful with people in their religion. Usually I just kind of do a, hey, yeah, no, I'm not really religious, but back away. But let me be at my bottom and and then I'm not religious and you
mhm.
try that
Yeah,
as a grown adult. Please don't do that to folks. Because
no,
sometimes people do that, like, but I'm evangelizing. Like
mm. I don't think
you
even
and Saint Peter about to get their feelings hurt. Like, please don't do this with me right now.
I don't even think even the most devout, like, don't nobody want to hear that. Don't it because it doesn't change the fact that it's freaking hard. Like, there is no honor in this struggle. I'm not feeling honored. This ain't it. For what? Why am I being put through? I mean,
But
those are
some
the
people's whole preaching philosophy, yeah, we really need to not touch on this. But some people's whole preaching philosophy is about how much you struggle.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
can, because you have to struggle to be rewarded.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
I
I just
just don't go by those
I
philosophies.
don't know about but I also do think, kind of like we mentioned earlier, on some level, you can create your own reality. I'm not saying everything bad thing that happens to someone is solely their fault, but there's lots of shit that we cause that is kind of our fault, and we don't we don't always want to look at that part. We don't always want to look at the fact that you're just doing when we're repeating stuff, when we're just doing the same thing over and over again, and we're like, gosh, why isn't this getting me anywhere? Well, are you planning to shake this up a little bit? You plan to try something, what something you haven't tried, what something you haven't thought of, or maybe this ain't for you. We don't want to accept that either. Um,
And they ain't for you.
they ain't for you.
Mhm.
Because also, and I think, I was gonna say, I don't even know if I want to go all the way down.
We
Because I
got
was thinking,
time.
but I was thinking about the idea, because I remember going on a rant on my Instagram page about this, like one day, of like, in our country, how a lot of people think that as long as you're able to pay for something, that you should be able to have it. So like when you have people who want, say, a baby, and it's like, if I can, no one ever says like, oh, well, you can't get pregnant. Well, maybe you're just not meant to be a parent. Nobody says that to them.
Hmm.
They're like, you should go try this. You should adopt. You should. Folks out here stealing people children, okay, to get what they want. They will pay someone to get what they want, and no one's ever gonna tell them, maybe that's just not for you.
You know, I have feelings. You know, I have feelings. You know, I have feelings on this topic. I saw an interesting video, kind of similar related, where it was talking about first to start off with this couple, and they're like, help me and John, whoever, I don't remember names, but help me and John get enough money to adopt our baby. And they like showed it's like a $30,000 fundraiser and how much they raised so far. They're like, these are all the ways you can help. And then when someone stopped the video, it was like, hey, so, seeing as the reason their parents probably gave them up is they didn't have any money, why can't we just raise money to give to the parents, the actual biological parents to raise? Because obviously they didn't have the money either. They don't have the money. So why? And like, first of all, I didn't know they was doing fundraising for babies. I didn't know.
Mhm.
I'd like to do a fundraising for my baby right now as well. But I didn't even think of that. My first thing was just like, why are we fun? And when she broke, I was just like, yeah, yeah, since y'all have to fundraise for this baby and money can just be given to the parent, we can just put all the taxes that every time I see my check, I get pissed off. All the taxes y'all take out of our
Mhm.
checks, why don't y'all just put that so parents can have childcare?
It'd be great, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
so they can have after school because you know how school's in at 3, but most parents don't get out to like 5. Why don't we also do after childcare for the free for these parents so they can continue in the workforce, so they can go to school, so they can, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But you're correct. Sometimes, there needs to be some accountability. I'm not saying people shouldn't go out and get their babies. That was
I'm
not
not saying
the
don't have
phrase.
kids. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, by all means, if you want it that bad. But I think, I mean, people are doing some really strange, corrupt things in the
Yeah,
name
no
of
one
I
should
want a
be
baby.
stealing babies. I am all for foster kids. I'm all for adopting kids that need homes and so forth and
Oh,
beyond. But let's
and-
not steal babies.
yeah, let's not steal babies.
Let's
Let's
not
also,
do
yeah,
that.
let's not take native children from that. I mean, there's all sorts of interesting things that people do. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, there's again, I think it's a mindset at times where it's just like a lot of people believe that they should be able to have whatever they want,
I agree.
regardless of what their experience is literally telling them.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but we get told that, if you work hard, you can have whatever you want. That's not true. I think I think it was Chris Rock that had a stand up like that where he was like, stop telling these kids they could be anything they want to be. Like you could be anything you're really good at. Or like there are things that yes, you can work hard and you can get to a certain point, but everything just is not for you. And that's really okay. And I think we could pivot better and probably get to what we actually are meant to have or is going to be fulfilling to us faster
Mhm.
if we could accept that more. That just everything.
Well, while on the topic of that, I think also adding in for some things, it's you don't have the work effort for what you want. That I feel like I see more than anything. I see people who are great cooks and probably could start their own catering business, their own truck business. I see people
Mhm.
who are like, you're a really, really great um clinician and you probably could rank in your own clients and get enough of all that. You are a really good, whatever it is, you're really good at it, but you don't have the work ethic that it takes to do that thing because you've been talking about getting your own food truck since 2010 and you have not made any efforts on it. You have not created a business plan. You have not researched what other people do to get into what type of limits you need, what type of food safety classes you need to take. You have not talked to other people in the area to see kind of how they got their market. Like you don't have the work ethic that it
Mhm.
takes.
Mhm.
And to sit there and be like, oh, why me? Why me? When you aren't really doing anything and then get
Mhm.
mad when people point that out to you.
Mhm.
Because the truth of the matter is, there's lots of things. And I want to be very clear. I might not be the right person. So, Ashley, afterwards, if you could just follow up with some words of wisdom. But because sometimes I hear people and they're like, yeah, I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired. And I'm like, Bro, there are certain things that I have wanted and I have been tired and I've been exhausted. And guess what? I still made it happen. There's been times where, again, 8 months pregnant, having to drive 2 hours there and from, going to school full time, working, going and also starting on my, you can if you want to. Now, homegirls tell me that I don't work in a healthy way. So, actually, this just let me know at what point you need to be like, hey, don't listen to rest when she gets to this point. I am now reading books about how to be a better rester. So,
Yeah, that's a whole thing too, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, no, but I think you're absolutely right. There are lots of things that people, like I said, they're just not willing to accept that they don't got the juice for that. You don't have the work ethic, or again, you're not shaking it up enough. You haven't tried. You're not willing to take the risks that
Mm-hmm.
are associated with this. And to be fair, it is easier to take risk in certain under
Word,
certain circumstances than others. And
word.
that's real. When you got a lot riding on you, you got mouths to feed, you got bills to pay, it can be a little bit harder to jump off and take that risk, even if that's the risk that's needed to get you there.
Mm-hmm. I have a homegirl who sent me a clip of Taraji. Um, she was doing like some interview and it was an older interview and she had mentioned like, yeah, it was just me and I think she had like $600 and my son and we moved to Cali and I didn't have no plans. And she's like, this is the type of faith I need. I was like, girl, no, you don't. Like, hold on, hold on. Because I know your work ethic. Keep that good job. And then let's figure out a plan to start this on the side and go where? Now, can someone look at that and be like, you are hating? Maybe I didn't, but did it come from a place of hate? It came from a place of I know you for what I know, for what we have been through historically together.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're
Mm.
you're not gonna take just whatever call that comes through and be like, yes, I'll do it. And you're not gonna get up. You don't like waking up before 11 on
Mm-hmm.
your days off.
Mm. Mm. I mean,
You mentally clock out an hour before work actually ends. Don't move across the country with only $500 in a dream. I, that's for people who are like, I'm a grind.
right. No, I mean, because that's what it takes to make that type of stuff work. But even then, we hear these one off stories like everybody's not going to be Taraji.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, okay, what does it look like for you? Like, let's be a little bit more realistic. I think it's great to have dreams, like I say, and take risk and all that. Um, I can't help but think of somebody in my life personally who, it was like, oh, I want to get certified in this thing. And it took you 85 times to take this damn thing to pass it. And I don't understand why. And some people just aren't good at tests. I don't know. But what is that thing that's in your way? And how can you remove that? Why do you just keep showing up and doing the same thing over and over again? And then at what point? Because the point was proven after this person got this certification, they have made no waves in their career field at all, not even a little bit.
I just
So
hit on
I
who we are
think,
talking about.
I think
So mad at
that,
that image. I'm so mad at that image every time I think about it.
so all I'm gonna say is it was, we could have seen this path was not for you a long time ago because the blocks were there. There was all types of signs that was
Yeah.
like, nope, this ain't for you. You don't got it. It's not for you. But hell be damned, you just kept on. And as long as somebody funded it, you finally got there.
You know
Just
what?
for you to do nothing.
I'm trying to decide in my head if I want to cut this off because without context, it just sounds mean. Without context, it just sounds mean. So I promise you guys, if you had the context, you would be like, no, no, no.
It's what some people need to hear. Okay. Because I sat as I observed this person go
Ashley, dream killer.
no, but like but ask yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because I remember watching this person go through this and thinking, like, at what point would I myself be like, maybe this ain't for me?
Mhm.
Like, I think on some things you need that type of realism with yourself. Like, at what point are you gonna say? And like I'm sure you've had these moments of things where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, but if I get to this point and it's not like that, I'm gonna go ahead and try something different.
Almost every relationship I've ever had.
But Like, we have to kind of set these things for
Yeah.
ourselves. And it's
Yeah.
not, I don't think it's like, again, because I also truly believe that whatever is supposed to happen, it'll get there.
Yeah.
So if you're really meant to do this, and maybe it's just not meant to look like that, maybe it's meant to look like this, but you're too, when I feel like I'm literally banging my head against the wall, I'm done with that thing. Like,
Yeah.
whatever it is, clearly it's not for me because I don't believe it's supposed to be that hard.
Word.
Like, yes, work. Like, there's gonna be some work, some blood, sweat, tears, that type of thing. But it's just not meant to just be this arduous, like, just type of process. Like, to me, that's a no. That's something telling me no. And that's okay. I'm gonna go over here where there's a no and a yes and a maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I again, our lives work so differently. Because my way my life has worked is I have been bullied by the universe into everything I have ever got into. Like it's never, I will say it's never me like trying to like,
I think
yes,
it's
I'm a
because you're
blah blah
hard.
blah.
I think it's because you're hard headed.
True or not, true or not,
Okay.
I've definitely been bullied. So things are hard. Like there's definitely been times where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing, and I keep getting dragged back over here. I'm like, because I'm gonna go do, and I'm just now looking at it kind of like string theory type of thing, because I have this thing that connects to this thing that connects to this thing that happened when I was 5. It all connects, but it still felt hard. Like it still felt like I wanted to go in the swings. Y'all keep making me go on the teeter totter. Don't know why. Now I'm the
Mhm.
teeter totter princess champion, which is great, I guess. I just wanted to slide. Is that metaphor working?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. On
Like,
the other
I was like, just no, just be real with yourself. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
on the other hand, because I don't want everybody just being like, so give up. Should
No,
I
that's not
give
what I
up?
said. That's not
I
what I
know, I know. I'm just making sure that it's emphasized because I do think while some of the things is about holding accountability, being honest with yourself, I do think for some people it is just a matter of don't give up so easily. It is a matter of like, yo, yes, you've been at it a year, you've been at it 2 years, but the people who actually made something of this, it took them 5. It's
said.
2%, 5% that makes it out the gate in 6 months. Everybody else, it took them 5, it took them 10, it took them blah, blah, blah. The
Mhm.
people that you look up to is like, oh, I want to be the next blah, 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 blah. Like, there are certain people who, like, now that we know are like, oh, they're the best in their field and blah, blah, blah. And we forget the part of the story where, like, people told them, you don't have the looks, you don't have the voice, you don't, who is going to take you serious? Nobody that does this looks like you. Nobody that does this like has that voice. Who's gonna?
Mhm. That's real.
And it's hard because how do I figure out which category I'm in? Now, I will say, going back to what I said earlier, for me, the way it works in my life, and I think it works differently for different folks. For me, I always get pushed to where I need to be pushed. And I've given up fighting. I've given up fighting. There are certain things I just don't want to do anymore at all. Very much not like it. And yet I keep being pushed there. Take tests, it tells me that's where I'm supposed to be. Astrologer told me that's where I'm supposed to be. I try to exit out of it, go into other things, get interviews, get things, and then people still put me in that thing and just get swept back into that thing.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
finally just be like, then I found out my name is correlated with the thing. So
Mhm.
certain things for me the way it works is kind of like a string theory. I find that all my parts always end up connecting together. So if I'm ever in a place and I'm like, is this where I'm supposed to be, I try to look, is this connected to some other things? What other things is this leading me to? When I is it easy for me to leave this thing, or is it no, this thing ties and connects me in so many ways in so many other areas? And anytime I think about leaving or trying something new, I keep getting a like, no, this is why you need to be here
Mhm.
situation. And that's kind of how, that's what I use to figure out, okay, am I supposed to be here? That's kind of how I use the signs, to be honest.
I think you're bringing up a good point though of like you have to know what your thing is, right? So like we all have, whether you have a higher power that you feel like is guiding you or you got your own plan or your whatever, I think if you take the time to actually look back over the history of your life and just kind of figure out like what is my relationship to that flow, that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
I know for me, it's I know when I'm in the flow. I know what it's like. I mean, stuff clicks.
Mhm.
It's not that hard when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. When I feel like it's getting to like, why is everything in my way? That's maybe a no for me. But that's how my relationship with the universe works for my flow in life. And it has truly always been that way.
Yeah.
So for each individual person, like take that time to look back over your life and be like, how have things turned out?
Yeah.
What does it look like when I apply myself in these ways? Do I actually get the thing, or or am I someone who needs to let go more? Or am I someone who, whatever it is, like just look at that, because I think to your point, we all have it's our own relationship with the way the world works.
Yeah. Yes. I agree with that. I agree that learn what your flow is. What does flow look like for you and be okay with it looking differently. I want Ashley's flow so bad. Ashley has such a carefree flow. This sounds great. Sounds great.
It doesn't feel good when I'm not in it, though. It really doesn't. So it's good to be in
My,
it.
my flow is a drill sergeant. It don't care about my feelings. None of that.
March on.
Oh, like girl, this is what you gonna do. You thought you wanted to be a ballerina. Nah, thick thighs. Anyways,
That's real.
and I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit, but of if you know your flow, and I think you learn your flow by really examining your life, being honest about how things have gone in your life and not trying to manipulate it. I think that's the biggest thing. I think when we're asking for signs, and we kind of touched on this a bit, I think the biggest downfall that people have is that we try to manipulate the signs. It's kind of the same thing of like, okay, well, I'm only if I see a yellow car, and then we go downtown where all the taxis are. Like,
Right.
I think that's where people get mixed up and caught up when it comes to science and so forth, because instead of just letting the universe do its thing, or whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, do its thing, we then try to force the situation. And I think that's how you end up with like egg on your face and feeling frustrated and feeling like, but I saw the rainbows. Like you live in Seattle, it rains all the time. And then you just go outside after it rains. Like, yeah, you're going to see a rainbow. You knew that. Learning what your flow is, learning how the universe, God, whoever works for you, and then giving up the control. Stop trying to force the situation. I feel like for me, and I do a lot of work on control. Uh, I know it doesn't sound like it. I do. I use a lot of old stories on the podcast, and old rest was violent, and so it doesn't feel like it. But I actually do a lot of work on releasing control and allowing yourself to be okay with how life presents itself. And I'm not always happy about it, but that's the work we are doing. And
Mhm.
I think that once you allow yourself to do that and you practice the art of resiliency, so it's not so much I am trying to control the situation, because if I control it, I know I can survive it. I know I can handle it. But if I practice the art of resiliency, that is that, okay, I might not know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. What I do know is I can bounce back because I'm practicing the art of bouncing back. Whatever happens, happens. But my practice is in that resiliency factor. So no matter what happens, I'm good.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
And that was a good note. Absolutely was. Resiliency is definitely key. And we can build resiliency, we can improve on it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's definitely an area that can help a lot of people grow if they focus on those things. What do I need to be resilient? Oh, I need to maybe feel more safe. What's in my life making me feel unsafe? How do I go into that?
Man,
How do I look into that? Whatever, you know?
the practice and the art of learning emotional safety and what makes it feel safe, it feels so basic, but you'd be surprised how many people are terrified of really looking and re-examining and reevaluating their life and what actually makes me feel safe.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah,
just like,
sometimes in all this, I mean, it all comes back to, yeah, there's always going to be some level of accountability. And I would say, yeah, when there's times where it's just, again, figure out your relationship with the universe and what happens with you. But yeah, I think there are many situations where people will find that they could be doing some inner work that would help them get to wherever they're trying to get to,
oh yeah,
or
yeah.
wherever they're supposed to be, regardless of where they think they should be.
And look, sometimes resiliency looks like crying and then keep going anyway. Because I think sometimes we think about that word and we think of like Wonder Woman and we're just
Mhm.
like pushing through, we're strong. And like sometimes you're crying, you're holding your teddy bear in your blankie as you just keep walking through the battlefield. And that's fine. That can be a part of resiliency too. Nobody said that you had to like do it with a stone face and that
Mm.
it had to be this like heroic thing. It counts even if you cried and limped your way through. It's just about pushing through.
Not
Yeah.
to the point of like killing yourself, though, you know?
Yeah.
Let's also be clear about that. But
Crack me up because we're so different at so many points. There's so many times me and you are, I think I said this before. Me and you do the like Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, feeling myself video thing where they come real close eye to eye. Then they both just looked away. Because we and you be on the same point, and then we get this close, and then we both just take off in completely opposite directions. But it's remind me of your buddy because we have somebody that's a really good listener that loves Ashley. They love anybody on the show that's not me. Let's just be clear. Love anybody on the show.
I'm not doing this.
Anytime I reply back like this is Russ, I'm like, okay, where's the other person? I'm like, all right, well, not answering you. Anywho. But no, your buddy wrote one time right when you first started the show, and they wrote us a message, and it was interesting. It was like, it's interesting. It seems like you and a lot of your friends are very completely different than one another. And we had this conversation. They were talking about how Neek, because Neek used to be on the show, and it was like Neek was kind of like quiet and tender and kind. And I was like, I mean, kind of. Okay. But and they were like, and you were like rougher. And I was like, now you have Ashley, who was just always on like the, hey, this is the positive, and just like things can happen. And you'd be like, I don't know, man, maybe question it. And it's just reminding me of that, where I'm just like, yeah, but now we're having this episode, and I'm just like, I don't know, be positive. And you're like, or maybe you the problem. I don't know. It doesn't matter. As long as one of us is on one side, the other one's gonna take the other.
That's all right. Whatever. We're giving you full spectrum. It's okay. You all sides of the coin. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. No, no, no. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. We are happy to be back. That was
Feels
a
good.
good little break.
It was a great break, but it does feel good to be back.
Anyways, you guys can check out our website, www.shewolfalchemy.com. Hit us up on Instagram, She Wolf Alchemy, and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Other than that, bye.
Bye.